The night sky over Earth looked calm, but it was only an illusion, high above the clouds. Where satellites circled the planet, strange things began to happen. Signals were cut, eyes in the sky went blind, and radar screens showed shapes that did not belong. At first, scientists thought it was a system error, but the errors kept growing. One by one, satellites went silent, leaving gaps in the network. Military commanders stared at screens full of empty signals, and for the first time, they felt a fear they could not explain. Governments tried to keep it quiet. They did not want panic, but whispers spread fast. Astronauts on the space station reported seeing dark shadows moving without light. They were massive, silent, and deliberate. Something was hiding out there, watching Earth with patience. The question was simple but terrifying. Who were they? And what did they want? Nations called secret meetings. Generals spoke in tense voices. Some wanted to fire missiles into orbit as a warning. Others said to wait, to stay calm, to study first. But no one could deny the truth. Something was moving out there beyond the reach of any human ship. It was not a meteor, it was not space junk. It was something built, something alive with purpose. Then came the first strike. It was not a bright explosion, it was silent. A flash too fast to catch. A military satellite armed with cameras and sensors turned into fragments in less than a second. No missile had been launched, no fighter jet had fired. It was destroyed from above by something Earth had never seen before. The proof was undeniable. Someone out there wanted to test Earth's defenses, and they had just begun in underground bunkers. Scientists tried to decode the strange signals left behind. They found patterns, energy readings beyond human science. It was power too advanced, a kind of weapon Earth did not understand. The faces of generals grew darker with every report. There was no way to deny it anymore. Earth was being watched, probed, and tested in the cities. Life went on as normal. People went to work, children went to school, lovers walked hand in hand under the stars. But above them, the stars were no longer safe. The unknown ships moved in silence, hiding in the shadow of the moon, slipping across orbits every night. More signals vanished, more satellites were blinded. The world below had no idea they were already surrounded. Finally, the truth leaked. An astronaut, his voice shaky, spoke in a live feed. He had seen a shape. Black, sharp, larger than any human ship. It passed across the sun, blotting out the light for a moment. Millions of people saw it, and fear turned to chaos. The governments could no longer hide it. Earth was not alone, and whatever was coming was not friendly. Panic spread fast. People rushed to buy food, fuel, and water, afraid of what was next. Markets crashed. Prayers filled the air, and across the world, eyes turned to the sky. The dark shapes finally revealed themselves. 3 massive ships, each one longer than a city block, entered low orbit. They did not speak. They did not answer, they only hovered. Like hunters watching their prey, military jets scrambled. Streaking across the sky, missiles were armed. Radars tracked every movement, but the alien ships did not move. They did not fire, they only waited. The silence was worse than an attack. It was a warning, it was pressure, it was a message without words. Earth was weak. Earth was unready. Every soldier, every pilot, every commander felt the same chill in their chest. War was coming, and they were already late to prepare. In the command center under Colorado, generals debated through the night. Some demanded to attack before the aliens struck first. Others begged for patience, to try to send a signal of peace, but even as they argued, another satellite vanished in orbit. A beam of light, invisible to human eyes, cut it to pieces. The aliens were not listening. They were testing Earth like a predator testing the cage of its prey. On the last night of calm, as cities glowed with lights and families slept unaware, one ship finally moved. It drifted lower, its massive body glowing with strange symbols. Cameras caught every detail. News networks broadcast the image for the first time. The world saw their face, not a creature, but a machine. A warship built for one purpose. It was no shadow anymore, it was real, and it was above them. Earth had been warned, but Earth was not ready. The night sky that had once been filled with peace now held the first sign of war. And humanity, frightened but burning with anger, began to whisper one thought. If they brought war to Earth's door, humanity would answer with fury. The night New York Harbor burned. The world changed forever. It started with silence. A silence so heavy that even the gulls that circled above the water seemed to vanish. Then the sky cracked open with light, and something vast descended. People on the streets pointed upward in confusion. Phones raised, cameras shaking. They thought it was a meteor, a piece of rock breaking through the atmosphere. But when the fire cleared, it was no rock, it was a ship. Black metal stretched across the night, its body bristling with weapons, its shadow crawling across the city like a storm. For a moment, it only hovered, as if staring down at humanity. Then the first strike came, a beam of light that carved through water like a sword. Ships in the harbor, cargo and civilian alike, were sliced open and set aflame. The air shook with a sound no human ear had ever heard before, a howl of power that rattled windows for miles. People screamed, bridges shook, and the fire climbed into the night sky. The first blood had been spilled, and Earth knew there was no going back. Jets roared into the sky from hidden bases, their pilots breathing fast. They had trained for war, but never for this. Never for something from the stars. Locking targets, they fired their missiles, trails of fire streaking upward. For a heartbeat, humanity dared to hope. But when the missiles struck the alien warship, the explosions fizzled against an unseen barrier. The ship remained untouched, silent, watching, almost mocking. The pilots cursed, fear thick in their voices. They circled for another pass, unwilling to give up. Then alien drones swarmed. They poured out from the ship's underbelly, black spheres with glowing eyes moving faster than any jet. They cut through the night sky with beams of energy, striking down planes one after another. Explosions filled the air. Burning wreckage fell into the streets. But still the humans fought, still they tried. For every pilot lost, another rose. For every jet destroyed, another charged into the fire. Earth was bleeding, but Earth would not kneel. Down below, the city was chaos. Crowds ran through the streets. Sirens wailed. Fires painted the sky red. Children cried as their parents dragged them underground. The smell of smoke and metal filled the air. People whispered prayers, others shouted curses. But in every voice there was the same truth. They were under attack. They were prey no longer safe in their own home in Washington. Generals barked orders through clenched teeth. Hidden missile platforms activated, firing from silos deep in the ground. The earth trembled as humanity's most secret weapons tore into the sky. Unlike the fighter jets, these missiles carried something more. They were designed to punch through armor, to kill the unkillable, and for the first time, the alien ship reacted. Shields shimmered, beams flared, and one missile slipped through. It struck the alien hull with a thunderclap. Tearing open a wound of fire, the world erupted in cheers. From New York to Tokyo, from London to Lagos, screens filled with the same image, an alien warship, wounded, burning, pulling back. It was proof that humanity could fight back, proof that the giants could bleed, but the joy was short. The wounded ship released another wave of drones before it climbed higher into the sky. The message was clear. The battle was not over. It had only begun. Then came the voice. Every radio, every screen, every device alive with signal suddenly went black. A cold voice cut through the silence. Not human, not warm. It was deep, sharp, and filled with contempt. The words were not shouted, but they shook the world. Submit or be erased. No explanation, no negotiation. Only a choice that was not a choice at all. In bunkers, leaders stared at one another in disbelief. Some whispered surrender, voices heavy with fear. Others slammed fists on tables, their faces red with fury. The argument was loud, bitter, and endless. But in the streets, in the skies, in the hearts of ordinary people, a different decision was already made. The aliens had drawn first blood, they had struck without mercy. And humanity, wounded but still alive, would not bow that night. As fires still burned in the harbor and smoke rose into the clouds, a fleet began to form. Warships from every nation moved toward secret bases. Planes were refitted, weapons upgraded. Old enemies shook hands, rivals became allies. For the first time in history, Earth was united under one thought. They had come to take, but they would find resistance. They had come to rule, but they would face fury. High above the burning harbor, the alien warship drifted back into the stars. It did not vanish, it did not hide, it only waited. The wound on its hull glowed faintly, but its strength was far from broken. Like a predator watching prey, it circled, testing, measuring, waiting for the next strike, and deep in the shadows of space, more shapes began to move. More ships, more darkness, more war. Earth had struck back. Earth had hurt them. But now the real war would begin, and humanity would either rise to the stars in fire or fall into silence forever. The night sky no longer felt safe. Every evening when people looked up, they did not see stars. They saw shadows waiting to fall, and then, without warning, the shadows moved. Alien warships descended lower, casting black shapes over cities, stretching across oceans and covering the sun. Their presence was no longer hidden, no longer quiet. They wanted the world to see their power. Every street, every rooftop, every open window was filled with faces staring upward in fear. The war had come, and now it was everywhere. The first ship entered orbit above Europe. Its hull glowing with strange blue lines, it hovered like a mountain in the sky, its body the size of entire cities. The second ship moved over Asia, blotting out daylight with its wings of steel. The third ship slid into place above the Pacific Ocean, close enough for entire coastlines to see. The world trembled. Billions of humans watched together. No one needed words to understand. Earth was surrounded. Earth was trapped. Governments rushed to send messages. Desperate calls for peace, desperate cries for reason. But the aliens never answered. Instead, they released drones. Countless black machines that swarmed through the atmosphere. They scanned cities, mapped defenses, hovered over military bases. They did not attack immediately, they studied, waiting for the perfect strike. Humanity realized they were not fighting mindless beasts. They were facing hunters who thought with patience, who struck with cold strategy. In response, humanity united as it had never done before. Nations set aside centuries of conflict. Treaties were signed in hours. Ships sailed from every ocean. Armies marched. And the first combined fleet of Earth took shape. They called it the United Earth Fleet. Old warships were refitted with new weapons. Space rockets were turned into missile carriers. Scientists worked night and day, rushing to build something, anything, that could stand against the invaders. Factories burned with light. Men and women built weapons with shaking hands but steady hearts. The time for waiting was over. The first great battle came above Earth's orbit. It began with silence, then a sudden roar of fire. Alien ships descended closer, testing Earth's fleet, and humanity answered. Hundreds of warships rose from the oceans, from hidden bases, from secret launch pads. They climbed through the atmosphere in flames, chasing the enemy into the stars. The world watched live, every screen filled with the sight of Earth's first space war. The battle was chaos. Alien weapons tore through the first line of ships. Explosions lit the darkness. Entire crews were lost in seconds, their screams cut short by the vacuum of space. But humanity fought back. Missiles tracked alien drones. Railguns fired. Lasers burned the night for every human ship destroyed. An alien drone fell for every pilot lost. Another pushed forward with fury. It was not enough to win, but it was enough to show the truth. Humanity would not bow. Then something unexpected happened. One of the alien scout ships moved too close. Its shields flickered as it prepared to strike. And in that moment, a human missile found its heart. The explosion ripped through the alien hull. Fire spilled into the void. The ship broke apart, its body spinning into Earth's atmosphere. The crash lit up the sky like a burning star, and when it fell into the ocean, the cheer of billions echoed across the planet. It was the first real victory, small but powerful for the first time. Humans saw the invaders bleed for the first time. They felt hope stronger than fear. But the battle was far from over. Alien carriers pushed forward, releasing more drones, more fire. Human fleets suffered terrible losses. Entire squadrons vanished. Cities trembled as debris fell from space. The price of resistance was heavy, but humanity had no choice but to pay it. As the battle raged, one crippled alien scout ship was cornered. Its engines failed, its shields collapsed, and human fighters swarmed around it like wolves. Instead of destroying it, they fired carefully, aiming to disable the ship. Drifted, sparking and burning, until it finally fell into the ocean. Recovery teams moved fast, risking their lives as alien drones tried to protect it. At last, the crippled ship was dragged into a secret naval base. Hidden deep under the sea, it was broken, but it was alive with technology, a treasure chest of secrets. The battle ended not with victory, but with survival. Half of Earth's fleet was gone. Cities bore scars of falling wreckage, but humanity was still standing, and that mattered more than anything. They had captured something priceless. The first alien scout ship. Inside its twisted hull were answers. Weapons, knowledge, and power. For the first time, humans had a chance to fight not with hope but with equal strength. That night, when the smoke cleared and the sky was quiet again, billions of people looked up at the stars with new eyes. The fear was still there, but so was something stronger. Anger. The invaders had come to break them, to force them into silence, but instead, they had awakened something ancient and unstoppable. Human fury. The war was far from over. And the next time Earth would not just defend, Earth would strike back deep beneath the waves, hidden from the eyes of the world. The broken body of the alien scout ship rested in a steel cradle. It had been dragged from the ocean like a wounded beast, its black hull scarred, its engines silent, its glowing symbols still flickering faintly. For the scientists who stood in the cold chamber, it was not just wreckage. It was a key to survival, a key to vengeance. The first cuts into the alien metal were slow, almost fearful. The hull was harder than anything known to Earth. Sparks flew as saws screamed, drills shattered, and lasers barely scratched it. At last, with enough pressure, the surface cracked open, releasing a hiss of strange gas that smelled like fire and ozone. Inside, the ship was not filled with wires or metal like human craft. It was alive with light, walls that pulsed like veins, machinery that hummed like a beating heart. Every step deeper into the wreck felt like walking into the body of something still breathing. The soldiers who guarded the chamber felt uneasy, their hands always near their rifles. One wrong touch, one hidden defense, and the entire base could be lost, but the scientists could not stop. Every surface they touched revealed something new. Power cores glowing like stars in glass, weapons shaped like claws of light, engines that bent space itself. It was technology so far beyond Earth's reach that it felt like magic. And yet, piece by piece, they began to understand. The discovery changed everything. Nations that had stood side by side in battle began to argue again. Who would control the alien secrets? Who would build the weapons? Who would lead the war? The United Earth Fleet trembled under the weight of pride and distrust. Some leaders whispered about keeping the technology for themselves. Others demanded it be shared freely with all. But while humans argued, the sky above grew darker. From the edge of the solar system came new readings. Alien reinforcements were on the move, larger than before, faster, countless. Satellites picked up shadows shifting past Neptune. Sliding into position, the first wave had only been a test, a probe, a taste of the war to come. Now the true fleet was arriving, and Earth had little time left in secret workshops. Engineers worked without sleep. They studied the alien power cores and began fusing them with human ships. Old destroyers were reborn with glowing engines. Submarines became stealth carriers for space. Missiles were tipped with alien crystals. Railguns charged with stolen energy. For the first time, Earth's warships looked like something new, something more. Hybrid monsters of steel and alien fire. And though they were imperfect, they were powerful enough to matter. But every step forward came with fear. The alien cores hummed with unstable power. One wrong move and a ship could vanish in flames before it even launched. And still, the work continued because there was no other choice. Every engineer knew it, every soldier felt it. If they stopped, if they hesitated, Earth would burn. Meanwhile, spies whispered in the shadows. Nations moved their fleets in secret. Generals made plans behind closed doors. Even as the United Earth Fleet grew, its unity cracked. Would humanity stand as one? Or would greed and fear tear it apart? The aliens would not wait for the answer. Their ships moved closer with every hour, their presence pressing down on Earth like a storm ready to break. In a dim chamber beneath the sea, one scientist placed his hand on the glowing wall of the alien ship. The surface pulsed under his fingers like living flesh, and for a moment he felt something, a thought, a whisper, a presence. It was not just a machine, it was more. Perhaps a memory of its makers. Perhaps a fragment of something still alive. It left him shaken, but he did not speak of it. The others would not believe, and the truth was too heavy. Outside, fleets gathered in the oceans, carriers loaded with hybrid weapons, destroyers glowing with alien fire. Pilots walked the decks, looking at the stars with narrowed eyes. Every man and woman in uniform knew what was coming. The next battle would not be fought above cities, it would be fought far from home, because Earth had to meet the enemy before they reached the heart of the planet. The choice was made in silence. The United Earth Fleet would leave orbit. They would rise to meet the invaders near Mars. It was risky, it was desperate, but waiting meant death. Better to fight among the stars than to watch Earth burn below. That night, the skies were filled with fire again. Dozens of warships, human and hybrid, lifted into the heavens. Engines thundered. Trails of flame cut across the black. Families watched from rooftops, children pointed with wide eyes. They did not know who would return, or if any would return at all. But they knew one thing: the fight had only just begun. In the shadows of deep space, the alien fleet moved closer. Their ships gleamed like blades, their numbers endless. And at the heart of their armada burned a single purpose: to erase, to conquer, to crush. But humanity was ready now. With stolen fire in their hands and fury in their hearts, they would meet the enemy head-on. And the stars themselves would tremble when the war began. Mars had always been quiet, a red desert under a thin sky, where only dust storms roamed freely. The colonies there were small, clusters of domes and towers standing against silence. But one night the silence broke. Every radio signal from Mars went dark. Every transmission ended mid-sentence. The last message was a scream, cut short by static on Earth. Commanders leaned over glowing screens. They replayed the final feed again and again. A colony dome cracking under fire, flames bursting into the cold Martian air. Behind the chaos, a shadow rose, sharp and massive, an alien warship, its weapons glowing, its drones swarming across the red sky. And then nothing, only static, only silence. Mars had fallen under siege. The news spread faster than fire. Families with loved ones in the colonies wept. People in the streets asked the same question: if Mars had fallen, how long until Earth? There was no time left to wait, no time to argue. The United Earth Fleet prepared for war. Engines roared, decks thundered. The greatest fleet humanity had ever built lifted from the oceans and deserts. Their course was clear: Mars. The journey was tense, every pilot silent, every soldier clutching their weapon. Through the black void, the fleet sailed. Old ships alongside new hybrids glowing with alien energy. For the first time, Earth was sending its fury beyond its home. For the first time, humanity was carrying war to another world. As Mars grew in the distance, so did the fire. Alien ships hovered above the planet, their silhouettes sharp against the red glow. Beams of light rained down, carving scars into the surface. Drones swarmed like locusts. Chasing survivors across the sands, the colonies were burning. But some still stood, and in that moment every human heart beat with the same thought. They had to save them. They had to fight. The battle began the instant the fleet entered orbit. Alien ships turned, weapons glowing. The void erupted with fire. Missiles streaked, beams carved, railguns thundered. The stars above Mars became a storm of explosions. Ships shattered, drones scattered. Pilots screamed into the void. It was war at its rawest. A storm of steel and fire across the red planet's sky. At first, humanity bled. Alien weapons ripped through the first line of cruisers, tearing them apart like paper. Whole crews were lost, their ships burning as they fell into Mars's thin atmosphere. But humanity had learned, humanity had adapted. Hybrid weapons struck back. Beams of stolen energy burned through alien drones. Missiles pierced the shields of enemy warships, turning them into fireballs. Every loss was answered with fury, every death with fire. On the surface, survivors ran through the ruins. They looked up as human warships streaked across the sky. For the first time since the siege began, hope returned to their eyes. Some picked up weapons, some raised torn flags even on the ground. Humanity refused to kneel. The fight raged for hours. Alien carriers unleashed endless drones. Human destroyers fought until their hulls cracked, until their guns melted. But for every alien ship that survived, 2 more were falling. The sky above Mars was filled with wreckage, broken metal drifting like a storm of ashes. Then came the moment that changed everything. A massive alien ship, larger than anything seen before, rose from the surface of Mars itself. It had been buried, hidden, a fortress under the sands. Now it climbed into the sky like a black mountain. Its weapons glowing brighter than suns, it fired once, and an entire human cruiser vanished in flame. The fleet reeled, commanders shouted, but no one retreated. Every gun turned. Every ship focused fire. This was the heart of the siege. The monster that had burned Mars, and it had to die. The battle became desperate. Human ships slammed into the alien fortress at close range. Pilots fired until their ships exploded. Missiles streaked in waves, beams cut across the void. The alien fortress shook, burned, cracked. But still it fought, finally. One human battleship, burning and broken, charged straight into its heart. Its captain's voice echoed across the fleet. For Earth, for Mars, for humanity. The battleship slammed into the fortress, detonating every warhead it carried. The explosion lit the sky red, brighter than dawn when the fire cleared. The alien fortress was gone, the fleet cheered, voices breaking with relief and rage. Mars was not saved, not yet, but the enemy had been broken. The surviving aliens fled into the void. Their numbers shattered. Humanity had not only defended, it had struck back with fury, and in the ruins of Mars, they discovered something worse. Deep under the sands where the fortress had risen, soldiers found vast tunnels filled with cages. Inside were the bones of creatures not human, species from other worlds, other wars, all slaughtered and erased. Mars had not been the first siege. It had been only another in a long chain. The aliens were conquerors, destroyers, executioners of worlds, and humanity was their next target. As the survivors stood among the cages, silence heavy around them, one thought echoed in every soldier's mind. If they did not fight with everything they had, Earth would become another graveyard. The fleet turned back toward home. The war was far from over. But now humanity knew the truth. This was not just survival, this was vengeance, and the fury of Earth had only begun. The tunnels beneath Mars were colder than ice. Human soldiers moved with flashlights cutting through the dark. Their boots echoed against stone floors carved not by nature but by design. They had followed the ruins of the alien fortress, expecting machines, weapons, maybe fuel, but what they found instead froze their blood. Row after row of cages lined the caverns. Each cage was built from black metal, fused into the rock like it had grown there. Inside were bodies, some bones, some dried remains, others still preserved by strange fluids. Not human, not from Earth, creatures with wings, claws, scales, eyes that had never seen sunlight. They were prisoners who had lived and died in silence. An entire gallery of the dead, proof that the aliens had done this before. To other worlds, to other people. Mars was only the latest grave, one soldier whispered, his voice trembling. If they win, this will be us. The thought echoed in every heart. There was no escape, no surrender. Humanity could not kneel, not unless it wanted to end as bones in cages. Back on Earth, the news of the discovery spread like fire. Broadcasts showed blurred images of alien skeletons. Crowds filled the streets, their fear boiling into rage for the first time. Humanity was not only united by survival, it was united by fury. The invaders had written their history in blood, and Earth refused to be their next chapter. In secret hangars, engineers worked without pause. The captured alien technology from the scout ship was no longer a mystery. Piece by piece, it was being fused with human steel. Engines that once crawled through the stars now roared with alien fire. Weapons glowed with energy stolen from the enemy's cores. Missiles armed with crystals from alien reactors burned brighter, faster, deadlier. Ships that had once been simple carriers or destroyers now became something new. Warships reborn, hybrid beasts carrying the fury of two worlds. The first of these monsters was called the Indomitable, a battleship longer than any carrier Earth had built. Its engines pulsed like blue hearts. Its hull bristled with alien cannons. It was not beautiful. It was not sleek. It was raw, brutal, and hungry for war. And it was only the first. Across the oceans, more were being built, each one born from wreckage and fury, but with new power came fear. Scientists whispered of the dangers. The alien cores were unstable, their energy unpredictable. One wrong calibration could tear a ship apart before it even launched. And stranger still, some who worked too close to the alien machine spoke of whispers, not sounds, not voices, but thoughts pressing against their minds, warnings, commands. Fragments of something alien that refused to die. Was the technology only tools, or was it alive in some way humanity could not yet understand? No one had answers, and there was no time to find them. Scouts at the edge of the solar system reported movement. The alien fleet was gathering again, larger, heavier, endless. This time, they would not come with 3 ships or a hidden fortress. They would come with the full weight of their empire. Humanity had wounded them, and predators always returned to finish what they started. In war rooms buried under mountains, commanders made their choice. They could not wait for the enemy to strike. Earth was too fragile, its cities too vulnerable. The only path forward was to carry the fight outward, to leave the safety of home and bring the war to the enemy. It was a decision filled with risk. Every ship that left might never return. But if they stayed, Earth would surely burn. Better to fight among the stars than to die in silence. So the call went out. The united Earth fleet gathered once more. Larger than before, fiercer than before, warships lined the oceans, their engines glowing with stolen fire. Pilots walked the decks with helmets in their hands. Soldiers checked their rifles and looked at the stars. No one smiled, no one laughed. But in their eyes was something stronger than fear. Purpose. The night of departure came. Families stood on rooftops, watching as trails of flame lit the sky. Dozens of warships lifted into the black, their engines roaring like thunder. Children waved flags, their voices faint against the roar. "Come back," they whispered, though they knew many never would. The fleet was not just a shield anymore, it was a blade, and it was aimed at the heart of the enemy. Inside the command ship Indomitable, the admiral stood before his crew. His voice was steady, his words simple. "They brought war to our home. They took our people. They filled Mars with graves. Now we carry their fire back to them. We will show them what it means to face humanity. We will show them what it means to fight a world that refuses to die." The fleet jumped into the black. Engines tore holes through the void. Stars blurred, space bent, and for the first time, humanity left its home not as explorers, not as dreamers, but as warriors. Behind them, Earth waited, fragile but burning with pride. Ahead of them, the enemy's empire spread like shadow. At its heart was power older and stronger than anything humans had faced. But at the heart of humanity burned something the aliens had never known: fury. And when fury sailed among the stars, even empires could fall. The fleet emerged from the black with silence all around. One moment, the stars of home stretched behind them. The next, new suns burned in the distance. For the first time, human warships sailed beyond the borders of their own solar system. Their engines glowed with stolen alien fire, their hulls scarred from past battles but unbroken. The void before them was strange, heavy, filled with echoes of things unseen, and as they pushed deeper, the crews began to see it. Wreckage drifting through the stars. It was not human wreckage, these were ships of other species. Twisted hulls cracked open like eggs, some shaped like wings, others like spirals, some unlike anything Earth had ever imagined. All broken, all silent, all reminders that the enemy had done this before. Whole civilizations had risen, fought, and been erased. Now their bones floated in space, monuments of warning. Pilots whispered in their cockpits. Soldiers tightened their grips on rifles. If they failed here, humanity would join this graveyard. The fleet moved cautiously, but not unseen. The first attack came like lightning. Alien carriers slid out from the shadow of a dead moon, their hulls shining with cruel light. Drones poured forth like swarms of metal hornets, their eyes burning red, and the battle began. Human ships roared to life, cannons flashing, missiles streaking into the void. The sky filled with explosions, ships burning in silence. Voices cracked over comms as pilots fought tooth and nail. It was not Earth's sky anymore, but it was humanity's fight. The alien fleet was massive. Carriers that blotted out stars, warships bristling with weapons never seen before. And yet humanity struck with fury. The Indomitable led the charge, its hybrid cannons burning holes through drone swarms. Destroyers flanked from the sides, firing missiles that split the darkness with trails of fire. One alien carrier cracked open, its glowing heart exploding in a storm of light. The cheer of the fleet echoed across the comms. They could bleed the giants. They could break them, but victory came with cost. Human cruisers shattered under beams of alien fire. Pilots screamed as their ships vanished into silence. The fleet pressed on, wounded but unyielding. Every time a human ship fell, another one rammed forward to fill its place. Every time an alien drone swarmed, human guns turned the void red with fire. This was not strategy alone, this was rage, survival, vengeance. Then the flagship admiral gave the order. They would not stop at the outer fleet. The goal was not survival anymore, it was the heart, the command world itself, to strike at the very core of the invaders, to show them that humanity would not cower, it would bring fire to their throne. The fleet cut deeper into enemy space, past more wreckage, past more shadows, past ruined stations that once belonged to the conquered. Every mile forward was heavier. Every heartbeat reminded them that they were sailing into the jaws of the beast. And then they saw it. The alien homeworld rose before them, a dark planet, enormous, wrapped in rings of metal and fire. Orbiting it were fortresses the size of continents. Armadas circled like predators guarding their nest. It was not a single world, it was a machine, a fortress built to command the stars. And at its heart burned a glow so bright it looked like a second sun. The command hub of the enemy, the brain of the empire. The admiral's voice filled every ship, steady but fierce. We have come too far to turn back. This is the heart of the storm, the place where they rule here. Humanity will carve its name into the stars, or here humanity will fall. The battle began before the speech ended. Alien fortresses opened fire, beams of pure energy slicing into the void. The human fleet answered with everything it had. Missiles streaked, hybrid cannons roared, railguns thundered. The stars lit with fire brighter than day. Ships clashed at close range. Explosions tore through both sides. It was chaos, it was fury. It was war at its purest. One by one, human ships pushed through the defenses. Some fell burning, some broke apart, but the rest carved a path. The Indomitable took hit after hit, its hull torn open, its decks aflame, but it did not fall. It kept moving, dragging the fleet forward. Its engines roared as it plowed through an alien carrier, splitting it in half. The crew screamed in triumph even as smoke filled their lungs. Humanity was not backing down, not here, not now. The closer they came to the planet, the fiercer the resistance grew. Alien warships swarmed like beasts defending their den. Every gun, every drone, every fortress burned with rage. But humanity's fury matched them strike for strike. They had not crossed the stars to retreat. They had come for one purpose, to strike at the command world itself, to break the chain of death that had claimed so many before them. At last, through smoke and wreckage, through fire and screams, the fleet broke through. The command hub rose before them. Best alive with energy, it pulsed like a heart, every beat sending orders across the empire. The admiral gave no orders, he only spoke 3 words. Take it down. The final charge began. Human ships burned with power. Alien fortresses collapsed under fire. The command hub shone brighter, its defenses cutting ships apart like knives. But still, the Indomitable pressed forward, its guns blazing, its hull bleeding. It was not just a ship anymore, it was a symbol. A burning star of human defiance crashing toward the enemy's heart. The fleet roared behind it, following into the fire. They had come to the center of the empire. They had come to the place where countless worlds had fallen, and now, humanity would decide if it would join the dead or carve its place among the living. The command hub waited, vast and unbroken, and the fury of Earth rushed toward it, unstoppable. The alien homeworld loomed like a nightmare against the stars. It was no simple planet, but a fortress draped in rings of fire and steel. Armadas circled it like sharks. Fortresses bristled with weapons that glowed brighter than suns. Every inch of it screamed power. Every shadow promised death. This was the heart of the empire, the throne of those who had burned Mars, shattered Earth's skies, and filled the stars with graves, and now humanity's fleet stood before it, battered, scarred, but unbroken. The Indomitable led the way, its hull torn and smoking. It had taken fire in every battle. It had bled across the void, but it refused to die. Behind it, the united Earth fleet gathered what strength it had left. Fewer ships than when they left home, fewer voices on the comms, but those who remained carried something heavier than fear. They carried fury. The alien defenses opened fire first. Beams of light tore across the darkness, shredding human cruisers in an instant. Explosions painted the void. Wreckage spun away. The enemy had numbers, weapons, and fortresses older than humanity itself. But humanity had something different. It had nothing left to lose. The admiral's voice cut through the chaos. Today we end it, he said, calm and fierce. They thought they could break us, but we will show them that humanity does not kneel. We burn, we bleed, but we do not break. Forward. All ships, strike at their heart. The fleet roared into battle. Missiles streaked into the sky like falling stars. Railguns hammered. Hybrid cannons blazed with alien fire stolen and turned against its makers. The void lit up with fire brighter than any dawn. Human warships clashed head-on with alien carriers, ramming, firing, tearing themselves apart if it meant one more enemy fell. This was not just war, this was vengeance. Alien fortresses unleashed wave after wave of drones. The swarm darkened the void, millions of machines moving as one. But humanity answered with rage. Fighter squadrons dove into the swarm, pilots screaming battle cries as they cut through with guns and missiles. One squadron sacrificed itself to open a path, their voices fading into static as their ships exploded. But their deaths carved a hole, and through that hole surged the Indomitable. Closer and closer the flagship pushed, its hull cracked, its decks aflame. Every strike that should have destroyed it only drove it forward harder. The crew fought in smoke and fire, wounded but unyielding. They knew where they were going. They knew what had to be done. The command hub pulsed before them, A sphere of light and steel, the brain of the Empire, the source of every command, every slaughter, every war. The Admiral's last order came through the comms, his voice steady even as the ship shuddered. All guns, all missiles. Everything we have, fire on that hub if this is the end. Then let it be the end of them too, the fleet obeyed. Every warship turned, every cannon roared. Every missile launched. The command hub lit with explosions, beams cracking its glowing surface. Alien defenses struck back, slicing through ships, tearing them apart. But humanity did not stop. For every ship destroyed, another poured fire into the hub. For every pilot lost, another dove into the storm. The sky itself seemed to scream with the clash. Then came the moment of sacrifice, the indomitable, its hull barely holding together. Its reactors burning unstable surged forward. The Admiral stood on the bridge, watching the hub fill the view. Humanity, he whispered. This is our fury. And the flagship plunged into the heart of the enemy's command. The explosion was beyond anything the human eye had seen. A sun was born in the void, fire brighter than worlds. The command hub cracked, shattered, and broke apart. Shockwaves tore through alien fleets, fortresses collapsed. Drones went still as their orders vanished. The Empire's brain was gone. Silence followed. The surviving human ships drifted. Broken but alive, the alien fleets scattered. Their coordination lost. For the first time, the predators fled. For the first time, the Empire trembled. Across Earth, cheers erupted. People who had waited in fear, watching the skies, now wept with joy. The war was not over, not yet, but the tide had turned. Humanity had taken the fight into the enemy's heart and survived. No longer prey, no longer weak, they were something new, something the stars had never seen. From that day, the invaders would remember. They had brought war to Earth's door. They had filled Mars with cages, burned cities, killed without mercy. But in return, humanity had answered with fire. And that fire was not finished. The stars that had once been silent graves now echoed with a new promise. Humanity would not be erased. Humanity would rise. And when the next enemy came, when the next shadow spread across the void, they would face not a weak world begging for mercy, but a species that had looked into the heart of empire and torn it down. The fleet sailed home, fewer ships, fewer voices, but stronger than ever, and on every world yet untouched, in every heart yet free, a new legend was born, the legend of Earth, the legend of the fury of humanity.